Well, let's call this meeting to order. 12 o'clock. It's Tuesday, March the 5th, 2024. We're here to have a quick discussion regarding a request from the Benewah County Commission regarding a road in the St. Joe. What's that road called? Potlatch Road?
Potlatch Road.
Potlatch Road. Little history. The chairman of the board asked to meet with me and Jess and his public works. Is that his public works director?
Yes.
Jim Roletto. And basically made a proposal on this road that we've heard about in the past that they would like Shoshone County to take over. I shared my opinion with him, which agreed with Jessica's. I think he would like to hear from the rest of the commission because he's approached me again about it. So I thought, well, I'll have Jessica explain what he's asking and the Public Works Department's view on why I said no, and then we can take a vote and let them know officially what we think because he didn't like my answer. So I think it would be better if he heard from the whole commission, and maybe you have a different opinion. So if you would let us know kind of briefly what was it he was asking for, because I don't know if I explained it well, and then what was your reasoning?
It's the section from Calder down to Falls Creek, so from Calder west towards the Benewah County line. It's roughly 7.3 miles of roadway. Used to be owned, a little history, it used to be owned by Potlatch, and it was always open for the public to use. At some point, not too long ago, Shoshone County took over the portion from Potlatch upriver, so Potlatch east. So that Potlatch from Calder up. I still have a little bit of a fog brain. Of Potlatch Road, and so Benewah County made a run for that lower section, and so they did take that. Benewah County took that section, and I'm not privy to kind of the ins and outs of that, but at the end of the day, Benewah does own that roadway. A lot of the reason, according to Commissioner Lambert, that they are asking us to take that section of roadway is because they are not currently claiming any highway user miles. Therefore, they're not getting any highway user revenue for that roughly 7.3 miles of roadway. And we're not getting it either. So right now, nobody's getting it. Just to kind of let you know the state of that roadway, it's not a paved road. It's a gravel road that's been very poorly, limitedly maintained over the last several years. There are 4 bridge structures on there. 2 of them have been completely closed and taken out of commission by ITD. One of them was involved in a fire and was never repaired and replaced. And so there's roughly 3.3 miles of that section that are not really open for travel. A lot of it, the road has grown over with grass, the bridges are barricaded, and that portion is not really used. The lower portion, which I think everybody is interested in, is that 4 miles from Trout Creek to Falls Creek. And that one has 2 bridge structures on it. I did, when Commissioner Dose let me know that this meeting was going to be happening, I did ask for the bridge inspection reports on those 2 bridges. And both bridges are load limited in poor condition. There's one that's referred to as the Slough Bridge. There is a lot of decay in that structure. And that one, they give a structure condition of a 4, which is in the minimum tolerable category. The deck is rated as a 4 in poor condition. The substructure is rated as a 4 in poor condition. And the superstructure is rated as a 6 in satisfactory condition. This bridge was built in 1912. At some point was minimally reconstructed. So their old, rail trestle bridges. There's a series of them along that roadway. The other one at Trout Creek, that one is not in any better shape. That one, the structure condition is listed as a 2, which is intolerable, and they are recommending replacing the bridge. These are from the ITD inspection reports. The deck was given a 6 as satisfactory. The superstructure was given a 5 as fair, and the substructure was given a 3, and the 3 bumps it down into the serious category. So those are the bridges that are currently open to the public that they would be asking us to take over. I have a few concerns with that because we have 79 bridges in our jurisdiction that we're having trouble maintaining as it is. We have 5 other bridges in that jurisdiction that did not quite make the cut for the Leading Idaho Local Bridge funding that are in either poor condition or heavily road rated. And so I have a hard time onboarding 2 more open bridges, 4 more total bridges, but two more open bridges that would suck our resources from our already, poor condition bridges. And so at some point fairly soon, something would need to be done with those bridges. Some work, some money would be put into that. Commissioner Lampert had stated that they would not be putting any money into those bridges or that roadway. There's been minimal blading done on that road since they've had it. I don't believe that the Benewah County workforce has done any of that work. I think the work that has been done by Potlatch for logging operations to keep it kind of going for that, is my understanding. And so it would be one thing if we were talking about a turnkey, extra piece to our infrastructure, but this would require heavy work for us in our already strapped District 4 down there. District 4, we are funded for 4 positions for operators. We've been running pretty regularly with only 3 due to lack of applicants. So right now we're stretched to the max with our workforce that we have available to us.
Let's talk about income.
So
the Commissioner mentioned
income for that. They had talked to us about the pros of being able to claim it for the highway user revenue. They're not getting paid for it. We're not getting paid for it. If we take it, we could get paid for it. Our revenue to fund our department comes from the highway user revenue and the SRS funds. We do not levy property taxes to our citizens for anything to do with road and bridge currently. So those are our 2 funding sources. So, the idea of getting more money into one of those funds sounds kind of good if we can make it work for us. How the highway distribution funds, how the highway user revenue is compiled and sourced out to us is it starts out with the state funding sources. So the user fees, the fuel tax, the vehicle registrations, the Leading Idaho general fund transfer that goes into this, and sales tax that's allocated for transportation. So percentages of that go into one local highway distribution fund. From there, 70% of that goes to counties and highway districts. So that would be us. How that's divided, how they decide how much Shoshone County gets, 10% of that is equally divided between all the local highway jurisdictions. 45% of it is based upon registration revenue, and 45% of that is based upon improved road miles. So when we talk about reporting our mileage at the end of the year to ITD, it's very important for us to accurately report all the miles that we take care of that are in our jurisdiction. So with that, to give you a snapshot of what we looked like for last year, Shoshone County, our department, got $2,131,086 total. So we figure 45% of that is based on our improved road miles. So 45% of that is $958,989. That's how much of that is solely based upon our road miles. You divide that by our 362 miles of roadway that we claim in our jurisdiction, and that amounts to $2,649 per mile that we get for our roads in Shoshone County. Just as a side note, we do not get anything additional for bridges. It doesn't matter if there's a bridge on there, we just get paid for the length. So if you figure we take that 7.3 miles that they're looking at us to take, at $2,649 per mile, that will net us an additional $19,337.70. I've been looking into that a little bit more. I don't see any way of feasibly opening that additional 3.3 miles that's already grown over and closed. The bridges are condemned and blocked off. So that really only gives us about 4 miles that we could add to our system. So that's only going to net us about $10,596 additional. With the work that needs to go into those bridges and the maintenance that needs to be done on the road and those bridges that have had no maintenance, and our limitations with staffing, it's my recommendation from my department for the board to not take over this section of roadway. I just don't think that it would be financially smart for us to do that. We have so many of our roadways that are in dire need of help that we're trying to get extra funding for grants to make improvements. And for us to take on something that's in this condition, I don't know how responsible I feel that would be. That being said, I do want to bring to light some of the citizen comments that I've had in my time at the Public Works Department. We've had a lot of phone calls from people who have had questions about ownership of the roadway. We do direct them to Benewah County because it is theirs. They get frustrated because it's not being maintained, because they live in Shoshone County. They pay, their taxes for ambulance service, for fire service, for all of those services that our citizens pay. And I do sympathize with them. I feel that that's very frustrating, but if we took on every roadway just because it's not ours and it's not being maintained, we would never be able to fund the maintenance of our infrastructure. And so to those citizens that call with those complaints, I definitely sympathize, and that's something outside of my wheelhouse. That's not really a decision that is in my wheelhouse. What would be in my wheelhouse would be to make recommendations that would be fiscally responsible for our department.
Have we talked to an engineer? Have you met with the Public Works over there in
Yes.
County, and have you went through all this? Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. We went.
What did she say?
Everyone's in agreement. The commissioners, the Public Works director, they're in agreement that the roadway definitely has not been maintained well, and the bridges they have not been maintained well. Mm-hmm. They don't want to put any. They're kind of on the opposite end. They're not getting any revenue for this roadway, and so they don't feel that it would be fiscally responsible for them to put the money into the roadway. It's the same. It's is what they're saying. However, it is theirs. They did take that. It's classified as separate parcels that's acting as a road. Their concern is that they're not able to claim highway user mileage outside of their county. Mm-hmm. And so I did look into that, and they actually are claiming highway user miles in our county. There's a lower portion below Falls Creek, further west. They are claiming 2.18 miles of that roadway beyond Falls Creek, and then another little dog leg that's just 1/10 of a mile. I pulled these from ITD's highway user local road inventory database, and you can see on here that this blue area here, this is the county line, they are claiming this mileage in our county currently, and then this little turnoff here as well. So I don't know why they could not extend that further up the road so that they can get their highway user revenue just the same as we could.
Now does this road actually serve our citizens?
It does.
And it's their that serves their properties to get to their properties?
It does. A lot of it up there is recreational property, but there are some
because the road is not maintained in the winter.
Correct. It is not plowed. It's not maintained. Nobody has really plowed it. I think anybody that gets through there would be private citizens. We have a road that runs just above that, almost parallel to that roadway, and it's Trout Creek Road. So there are some different drop down areas where you can drop into that. And so we maintain Trout Creek Road, but we do not maintain that lower portion of Potlatch Road.
But the county is maintaining Trout Creek.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was Forest Service. Is that part of the Schedule A?
No.
That's ours?
Mm-hmm.
So we're maintaining that one and not, okay.
Yes.
Well, we don't own this one, so that's why we haven't maintained it. But.
And this has been a discussion that's come up. It's the first time that I've addressed it personally, but it's come up in my previous years with Public Works, with the prior board. Discussions have happened. I think even prior to that. And we kind of all come back to the same answer. And I think with there being an all-new board here with you guys and a new Public Works director, Benewah County wanted to approach Shoshone County again to talk about this leg of the road.
I would personally, before we vote, I would like to go down and look at all this, and then talk to Benewah County and kind of see it myself since it's my area. I understand. We do have roads that we don't maintain.
We do.
And, what's the difference between taking something like this and not maintaining it? Because if you have Trout Creek up there.
My biggest concern is not the roadway itself, but the bridge structures on there. If we have in our system bridges that are open to the public,
Can we close them?
We are responsible to maintain them.
If we did, it wouldn't serve those people that want the road.
Well, you just said that up at Trout Creek, you can always get up to Trout Creek. We maintain that road, right?
We do maintain the Trout Creek Road.
So does Trout Creek Road run the whole length?
It does not quite run the whole length. It does. There are a couple of little jump up roads, and I think, and I can show you on a map. But I do think going down and looking at it in person, I'd be happy to go down with you one day and we can take a look at that.
Okay.
We can drive the length of it. We're going to have to wait until a little bit of the snow is gone to really get a good look, especially at that upper end that's not really opened at the burnout trestles. My concern about the two bridges that are open to traffic, if we take them into our system, and we don't maintain them, we don't get them up to standard, and we let them fail, then that puts us, we're responsible, and then that puts us in a little bit of danger of not continuing to get bridge funding, because that's kind of part of the deal. We have to make an active effort to maintain our bridges and keep them open, address the high concerns on the bridge inspection reports, because if we're not doing our part, they're not just going to keep giving us money to put into bridges. So that's my biggest concern. I mean, any roadway can be bladed. The community down there is not used to much with that road, so I think anything that's done on that roadway they would probably be pleased with, but the glaring concern for me are the two bridges that are open.
And those bridges have to be there
Mm-hmm.
in order to serve that. You can't go up over Trout Creek and come.
Yeah, with
if I
the way
understood
that
right,
that roadway,
you can't access all the properties.
correct.
The only way to access them all is to have this road and those
Mm-hmm.
bridges to get to all of the
And
properties.
There'd be a lot of cost for us on those bridges.
So right now, one thing that kind of brought this to the forefront was back in August, I received an email that had gone through ITD, and then they had sent it to LTAC because there were complaints from citizens who were watching overloaded log trucks go over these load restricted bridges. And getting enforcement for that's very difficult. The local law enforcement they don't have scales. And so if you don't have scales, you really can't cite somebody. And so where that comes in, we kind of have to outsource through ITD and get them involved. And that's difficult, especially in areas like that. There were several complaints where people would stop the truck drivers and, point out the signs, and they didn't really care. And so the citizens were wanting something done about this. And so because it got difficult because they would call my office, I would direct them to Benewah County because I don't have jurisdiction over those bridges. Benewah County was like, well, it's not really in our road system. We can't really do anything about it. And so these weren't getting addressed. Their public works director finally took the bull by the horns and did some education down there and got some things done. But at the end of the day, there are still overloaded trucks regularly driving over those bridges.
That would be through the IDL, Idaho Department of Lands, right? I just talked to an IDL guy this last week, and they were talking about this Potlatch Road, and I'd like to discuss with him also some other ways, because they do use that to access their own lands up there to log.
So it is my understanding, after a conversation yesterday with their public works director, that I believe Potlatch did some improvements to one of the bridges, but it's never been re-inspected by ITD. So absent a bridge inspection report that comes from ITD, I can't really say, what we're looking at. Some of the huge concerns on this are not slap a new deck on it and, we're going to get the rating up. There is crushing and bulging, in the substructure of these bridges, and serious decay. I mean, in some places it's 97% decay, and that's basically looking at a bridge replacement for two of those. Makes me nervous, to take on something like that.
It's on.
Correct.
On the county, so really,
correct. It's my understanding that
hurt us to give it more time because it's
no, we're not.
No, there's no harm in waiting.
Yeah.
I just need to give some direction to Benewah County.
Okay.
So I'm okay with delaying.
I am too.
Okay.
So
I just want to kind of check it out, and then I also want to talk to IDL because I did have a meeting with them last week regarding their logging, and so.
Okay. So would entertain a motion to table this pending your investigation.
Okay.
I mean, I've already looked into it, so now you're going to look into it. You feel free if you want to look into it.
Okay.
So
and I'd be happy to take, any of you down there.
when we can see the ground
When we
again.
can see the ground. I think that's the most important.
Yeah.
We can really get a look at the bridges. We can get a look at the accesses to that roadway, which, properties they serve. And if any of you want to come down to my office, I'm happy to pull up a couple different maps so we can look and you can kind of get an idea of the logistics of that area.
Have we reached out to anybody like Idaho Department of Lands or the Forest Service on these at all, just to see if that was okay?
And you
Okay.
said you might want to talk to Benewah. There's the
Yeah, Bill.
chairman that's asked us about this. That's who
Okay.
I met with.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'll do a motion to table this until further investigation, and I'll
Okay.
get back with you.
Okay, I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we'll put that on hold. Thank you for the
Yeah, thank you.
all the data and information. That is about what you get when you talk to their public works director down there. I think the county commissioners are just appeared very eager to get rid of this.
Yeah, they're not trying to, misrepresent what the road and bridges are. They're very upfront. They're not trying to say they've been actively maintaining them when they have not. They're, very, very open and forward with that information.
Very
We had
honest.
residents, yeah.
Yes.
They'd still
I said
like
one of
us
those,
to
right?
take
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
That was one of them that lived there.
Okay,
All right.
with that we are adjourned.